All right. Welcome to Waking the Kraken. I'm Wes Potts.
And I'm Alex Kahneman.
And today is Waking News. We've got actually a very interesting topic today.
Yes.
One that hits home really close to both me and Alex, actually.
Definitely.
Today we're going to talk about the situation that's going on with the vape market and the United States government. So yeah, that's a thing that's going on right now.
Yeah. So basically, I'm sure you've all heard about the big scandal with JUUL Pods, essentially, with their marketing being like a little bit too youthful and too many vibrant colors, and like kind of breaking some of the rules that the FDA had set about how you're not allowed to advertise nicotine products towards children.
Right.
And so as basically backlash from that, they're now having to stop allowing retail sales of all of their fruit flavors, which are fruit medley, mango, and as well as their creme brulee flavor. And they just have to limit it to the menthols and their tobacco flavors.
Right. And this is a big deal because the fact is, I used to smoke. You used to smoke. And both of us, like Alex actually inspired me on this a couple months ago, to try doing one of the salted vape kind of nicotines.
Yeah.
I was super against vaping for the longest time. I think my friends have said that I would die smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, right.
But you did it to a lot of success. It was right around the time that you and Kaylee moved in together.
Yeah.
And so you started trying this, and I watched you kind of overcome it.
Yeah, and it's made a huge difference. You know, like it's now been like, I have lost count of how long it's been since
it's been about a year,
smoked a cigarette.
Maybe over that, because we were living together whenever that happened.
Yeah, and basically, like what we're interested in is like, well, yes, their marketing may have been a little bit ill done. You know, it was
right.
like not done in the exact way they should have done it. At the same time, like some of those fruit flavors are like exactly the thing that like helped me get away from cigarettes, because like the tobacco flavors and vaporizers
are awful. If you're addicted to cigarettes and you think that getting a tobacco flavor is a good idea, you're going to be thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah, it's not the same, and the flavor of it is really, really, really strange. It doesn't really taste like anything I've ever put in my mouth before.
It tastes more like a weird, shitty brandy than anything else to me.
Yeah.
Is what I got off of it when I've tried the few ones. And I had tried other products before. Like I had tried like the disposable e-cigarettes, like I think it was Easy Cigarette and stuff, and to no avail. Mm-hmm. And I didn't try the JUUL. You've tried the JUUL, but I haven't tried the JUUL. The thing is, though, it's now expanding the market to everything now. Not only is JUUL being affected, but now they're starting to talk about vape flavoring markets and everything, because now they're saying, like, you know, there's other companies that have now been marketing to children, or the idea that, like, you've got Instagram vapors that are 17 below, some of them like as low as 12, that are getting a hold of these things because they want to do the tricks. These are what you see all the time on social media.
Exactly.
And so the policy comes down to the idea that like, what is more pivotal? Is the smoking epidemic and trying to get people off of smoking cigarettes that are clearly causing cancer. Studies have not been proven just yet on vaping. That could be another epidemic later.
Right.
But right now, it looks like we know cigarettes cause cancer.
Yes.
We know that many adults that are smoking cigarettes have tried nicotine patches. They've tried nicotine gums. They've tried cold turkey. They've tried like just substituting something else.
Yeah.
Toothpicks, whatever. I tried all of those things. And the thing is now, are we willing to throw out that?
Yeah.
In order to do that, instead of trying to educate children that these are just as addictive as cigarettes?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. Like it has been the one thing that really made it easy for me to be like, nah, I don't want a cigarette anymore. And so like to take that away and then to make it like all of this kind of trash flavor, like it makes me just think like, okay, well, what about all of my friends who are also going through this same process, like Wes,
like me,
and a number of others have also switched over to trying to smoke vapes, because as we get older, we're all like, okay, like smoking cigarettes is clearly bad. We know it, so it doesn't make any sense why we're doing it. The psychology of smoking cigarettes is strange.
Sure.
But basically now we're getting to a point where they're starting to basically really look at vaporizers and start to try to make rules about what they can't do. And we all know that that's what the FDA is really good at.
Yeah.
They're really good at making a bunch of things that are, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all of these are bad, so don't do that either. But like, honestly, the policies would be a lot easier to understand, and the rules would be a lot easier to follow if they just said, here's what you can do. If it's not on this list, don't do it.
Right.
And I think that like by removing like flavored vape products from the market, like what they're going to end up doing is they're going to start destroying one of the newest kind of industries in our country right now.
Right.
And it's really young, and like there has been some regulation coming in saying like, you know, you can't use these chemicals in your vaporizers, and like these chemicals are the ones you should be using, and like, you know, they're trying to restrict things to make sure that they're not like making them even more harmful than what we would expect them to be.
And I get that like flavored options are appealing to children. I mean, honestly, that's from a lot of these people that I saw reports on, and I read reports like young minors that have gotten these and things. That's the number one reason they started getting them, is they said, you know, I tried like a strawberry or a watermelon or a blueberry flavor and it tasted really good. And then I just entertained myself by doing this.
Exactly.
The other fact of the matter, though, is like for me, I started off, I hated vaping when I tried it. Like I started off with a little salt vape, and I got, I think like, what is like a lemon flavor or something like that. And I constantly would say like I was addicted to cigarettes. I wasn't addicted to lemon. But once I got past a certain precipice, like once I got past a week of just doing nothing but that,
right,
that's when it became easier for me to go, I don't need a cigarette. Exactly. I don't need any more intense like nicotine kind of things than just that. Like it just became another thing that I did.
Right. Right. And I would even say that like a really big part of like overcoming cigarettes is like, a lot of people who smoke cigarettes will tell you that one of their favorite places to smoke cigarettes is in the car.
Yeah.
While you're driving, because you know you're just listening to music, you're doing a super mindless task known as driving, and you're just trying to get to work, get where you're going, driving the same streets you always drive. And so like what you're actually end up fostering is not only an addiction to the nicotine and the substance. You're fostering like a sort of buddying up to the oral fixation that you have of doing something with your mouth and having your hands being, you know, entertained.
Yeah, it becomes a ritual.
Yeah. And for me, like I've always had a problem with biting my nails, but like whenever I don't have something to play with in my mouth in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to put my fingers there and start biting on my nails. And like they're long, some of them are longer than they've been in a while now, you know, because I'm trying to wean myself away from that. But like that's still part of the process, and it's still difficult to move past, because I don't know, like I feel weird going into job interviews with bit fingernails, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And so like, you know, maybe they should start thinking about things like, instead of saying, okay, like you're not allowed to have fruit flavors on the market, they should say your fruit flavors can't have nicotine.
Well, and I think the thing is also like the best part of the situation would be to, and they've already started kind of doing this, and I do get the pros and cons. Like one of the things that they've started to maybe give the idea of is the flavored vaporizers, like the flavorings of nicotine and vaporizers, can only be sold at vape shops. They can no longer be sold at convenience stores. Convenience stores are notorious. No offense to convenience stores, but they are the most notorious place. I used to get cigarettes when I was younger from like those shops. I couldn't get them from tobacco shops.
No.
And so the thing is, like, they've been like, maybe we should put them only in specialty stores.
Yeah, they definitely.
And there's
should.
a million vape shops, at least in the United States, from what I've seen. There's billions of them, it seems like.
And what I've noticed is, like, whenever you work at a specialty store that has like an age restriction on the product you sell, because that's the only thing you sell, it's a lot easier for the employees to be like, I need to see your ID, because like one infraction is going to ruin my whole business.
Yeah, or I'll get fired or like something.
Yeah, or without a gas station, like, you know, like they sell so many other things.
Yeah.
And so like they're not always thinking about, okay, I need to be checking every person's ID that comes in here. And so it's a lot easier for them to just kind of get in the flow of selling things, and then maybe they have someone come in that's like 16, 17 and says, I want the JUUL Pod starter kit, please.
Yeah, or like, can I get this milk, some gasoline, and a tin of like this?
Exactly. And that's and just from the nature of the convenience of the store and the kind of relaxed atmosphere, at least on the ID checking, it really makes it easy for that to be a place for, for young people to actually get a hold of, these products they're not old enough for.
Well, and the other factor of that is also like a convenience store, there's no restriction, obviously, at a convenience store. Anyone between any age can be in a convenience store. So let's say, like, around the corner from the convenience store, you have these kids that one of their older friends or their older brother or something like that goes, like they're like, hey, can you pick me up some JUUL pods?
Right.
I can't get it. They know that I'm not old enough. So their friend just walks in, and this could happen at any store.
Yeah.
But more importantly, like from working in a tobacco shop, I kind of realize who my regulars are.
Right.
And I kind of realize when they're asking about things that they clearly don't know about. Like if
Right.
someone comes in and knows exactly what they're like wanting, but have no idea what they like about it or anything like that, they're probably selling to a minor.
Exactly. They're probably just picking up something for somebody else who says, this is what I want. And they're just like, oh, okay, whatever that is. I'll go
on
get
that
it.
same note, from working at a tobacco shop, if there's like 12-year-olds hanging outside my shop and then all of a sudden someone comes in and then leaves and then they disappear, that's suspicious to me too. And I flag those people. Like those people, like I remember, I'm like, oh, that person, maybe they didn't do anything wrong, but it was suspicious. Whereas at a gas station, you can't have that recollection.
No,
you go,
you can't.
that person picked up a JUUL pad and some milk. And like the kids that walked by, you're like, oh, maybe they were just getting something or maybe they were going to steal something. I don't know. There's 1,000 other things to worry about in a convenience store.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, just at working at the tobacco shop, just having the ability to say like, I need to see your ID when you come in the door as well. You know, to say like, you can't be in here if you're not over 18. And like, that's even just like another level of like protection against that type of thing happening.
Yeah.
So like 12-year-old kids can't come inside to the store, look around at the shelves and be like, wow, this looks great. And then leave and have someone come in and say, this is exactly what I want.
Yeah. Or even a 17, 18-year-old, like a 17 and 18-year-old, like they could come in and one of them could like, they could be right next to the Gatorades and they could look like they came in separately and they could be right next to the Gatorades and they would be like, hey man, can you pick me up some JUUL pad or some JUUL packs or whatever? I need that. And the guy's like, cool, you can just pay me afterwards. And so one of them walks up and buys their Gatorade. The other person buys a Gatorade also. So it looks like they coincidentally just both wanted Gatorade. And the other person goes like, also, can I get this thing? And then the 17-year-old has it. Whereas like in a tobacco shop or any like a liquor store or anything else like that, if you go, hey, I need to see your IDs and one person doesn't have it or they're 17 or something like that, be like, I can't sell to either of you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think what's also important is like, I don't want anybody to think that we're like advocating that you go out and start smoking a vaporizer.
No, not at all.
And we've been using it as like a quitting tool to just kind of help us both get away from smoking cigarettes. And like, I guarantee you, like hundreds of other people, if not thousands of other people, probably maybe even tens of thousands of other people have also, you know, used this tool for the exact same reason. And it's proven to be very useful over time for that. Sure. And so like, that's kind of why I think we're both a little bit disappointed to see that this is happening and to see that these companies have been so irresponsible. And I do think that it is really silly to like advertise something that you have to have an age requirement for, you know, in a fashion that you think would get a younger audience into it. Yeah. Because it is meant for adult smokers, you know, and even companies like American Spirit, whenever they would come into the tobacco shop, they wouldn't even talk to people who were under 21 because they were like, you know what, we're not even trying to get them. Well, all we're trying to do is just find people who we know are old enough to smoke. Most of the time they would only go to the bars too, because they knew that those people were probably of age, or at least of legal age to smoke. Exactly. Yeah, and so like, you know, there's a whole bunch of addictive chemicals that we sell, you know, in the world right now. And, you know, that's anything from sugar to like super fatty foods, caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, all of these things you can build up some sort of dependence to and reliance on. And nicotine is just one that we are more aware of how negatively it can affect the human body, mainly because we've done so much research in it, you know? And I will say, as a personal monologue, I really wish that I had never started smoking. Yeah. Like, I think it's nice to have this hindsight. I wish I had never started smoking. So not to say that anyone should go smoke a vape. Mm-hmm. Just don't smoke in general, but if you have already started smoking, if you have already reached that level of an addiction or that edge like in your brain that kind of scrapes away at you, it is one of those things that is an alternative that does help. At least in my, like, from a testimonial perspective. I can't say that it's going to help for everyone. Maybe the gum helps some people. Maybe cold turkey, I hear, is for some people is the only thing that works for them. Mm-hmm. They don't make excuses with cold turkey or anything. But for me, I have seriously cut down a lot less. I'm about like 3.5 months from having a cigarette. Yeah, congratulations. Which is great in itself. Yeah. And 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 if you're not really like understanding where we're coming from with this as well, like if you look up some statistics like on like people who've tried to quit smoking and the various methods they used, cold turkey works for like 4% of people who've tried it.
Yes.
So that's literally 2 out of every 50 people are able to quit cold turkey. And that's just because it's a really hard thing to do. And quitting smoking is like a lifestyle change. It's not just a change of habit or a change of something that you're taking into your body. It's a change of like a bunch of rituals and things that your brain has wired itself to tell you you're stressed out. Do this and it'll help you out a little bit and it'll relax you.
I can't remember what episode it was, but I think there was an episode back in the past where like you were talking about quitting smoking and you're like, the worst thing about quitting smoking is being around all of your other friends, because all of your other friends smoke when you're a smoker. Or at least most of your friends do whenever you're a smoker. And as soon as you'd say, hey, I'm quitting, that's the first friend that's like, are you sure, man? If you want one, I got one for you.
Exactly.
Because they know you're not going to borrow a bunch of them. Like,
right, yeah. Like they want you to quit and they're like happy for you. But at the same time, there's that part of them that's like, well, I know it's kind of a treat for them, so I'm just going to offer one. And it's like, well, no, man. Like, I'm trying to quit. Like, why would you offer me one?
Yeah.
And like, you don't really see it that way when you're a smoker. You just see it as you're being nice and like trying to be a good pal. And like that makes it really tough because you can't even really get onto your friends for that because you're like, well, they're just trying to be nice.
Sure.
And
but that's the thing is like that's the lifestyle change too. Is all of your friends smoke, or at least most of your friends smoke, or the people that you hang out and go drinking at night. Most of them are at least okay with smoking,
right?
Or they're those people that go, oh, I only smoke when I drink, or whatever kind of thing. Like, and that's really where it becomes the hardest part is just being around it all the time.
Yeah.
So just don't smoke.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing. Like.
Yeah, it's, you know what, like there is a lot of things that are pleasurable about smoking, and I think there is a lot of culture behind it that is like really interesting and like really worth like taking the time to learn about. But like if you're really intrigued about smoking something, you know what, just like go get a cigar and drink it with your glass of scotch or something.
Yeah.
Like a cigar here and there isn't going to hurt you.
If you're old enough to drink scotch, too.
Well, yeah.
Here we are talking about like,
that's true.
Here we are talking about like how vapes for children like are bad, and they're like, but go drink with scotch. Like,
yeah. You just throw it in that. Daddy juice.
Yeah. Just do things within the confines of the law. I know it's really cool and fun to be like, think you're getting away with something, but don't.
Like a lot of the, when you're in school and you're learning about anything, no matter what it is, they almost always tell you, okay, so here's the rules for how it works. And they start off basically trying to tell you, this is how you have to do something. And then they encourage you later to break all those rules, because now that you know how they work, you know how you can break them effectively.
Right.
But like when it comes to laws, they're not rules. That's why we don't call them rules. We call them laws. These are things that have been huge issues in the past. And we as a collective group have decided this is how we should handle this from now on. Like we're literally like upgrading our cultural software every time we add an amendment or write policy or change the law. And those types of things, like especially as you get older, you start to realize just how important they are. And so whenever you're 15, 16 and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go get this JUUL Pod, it's like, well, maybe you should think about like, okay, well, maybe I'm not supposed to do this because it's going to hinder the development of my brain, or it's going to stunt my growth, or it's going to hinder just the development of me physically as a human being in some way. And then all of a sudden you're going to have lifetime side effects from it because you didn't follow a law.
Yeah, no addict goes into addiction thinking they're going to become an addict.
Exactly.
That's really it. It's like when I started smoking at 20, because I was behind the curb. But when I started smoking at 20, I didn't think I was going to get addicted to cigarettes or anything like that. But I did. And now I have to deal with those consequences. And now I have to find ways to get myself out of it.
Exactly.
Or else I'm going to, so.
Yeah.
And that just costs more money.
It does.
And whenever you're young and you're like, whenever I'm 22, I'm going to have my own house and I'm going to have a good paying job and everything. That's all wrong.
Exactly.
You're all wrong.
Yeah. Life throw you so many curveballs and everything changes in so many ways.
And then it gets expensive.
Yeah. Like I'm in front of a camera right now in the basement of a house that I never thought I would be living in now, with cameras that I never thought I would have.
Right.
And these nice microphones that I never thought I would have. And like I couldn't predict any of that. I just wanted to make music and look where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's a good way of it working out. Like think about all the bad ways that it could work out.
Exactly. And so like just think about what you're doing, and like especially with the JUUL Pods, like if you're an adult smoker, like I'm like, I have one, and I use it still every once in a while to, like make sure, like if I do feel like, man, a cigarette sounds good, I can like, you know what? Nope, I'm just gonna have this little minty thing, and then I'll just forget about it and be happy. And so it's a really great tool that way. But it's not necessary if you don't already, or if you're not trying to quit smoking already.
Yeah.
And so just take care of yourself.
I think we're starting to get on a ramble too. I think long story short, here's a period point of everything is if you are over 18 years old and you do want to smoke a JUUL pod, that is your legal right to smoke a JUUL pod. If you are under 18 years old, go fuck yourself and don't buy a JUUL pod.
Exactly.
Well said. That's the marketing that the FDA or whatever can use. They could just tag me in it if they want. If you're under 18 and you want to smoke a JUUL pod, go fuck yourself.
And that's the news.
Okay, goodbye.